AHRC TV's weekly roundup. The following are the stories covered in this week's program. Families of disappeared victims in Bangladesh prevented from meeting on International Day for Victims of Enforced Disappearance. Pregnant woman gang raped by Indian soldiers in Assam, India. Executions crossed 200 in Pakistan for 2015. Open letter to Indonesian President Widodo on 11th anniversary of Munir's murder. Chinese human rights lawyers prevented from travelling. Burmese lawyer Tin Than Oh predicts November election results. Welcome to AHRC TV's weekly roundup. I'm Josefina Bergström. Let's first turn to the ever-worsening breakdown of rule of law in Bangladesh. On the occasion of International Day for the Victims of Enforced Disappearances, discussion meetings with families of disappeared victims had been scheduled in 35 places around the country, including in Dhaka at the Bangladesh National Press Club. The meetings were organized by the Asian Legal Resource Center jointly with the Asian Federation Against Involuntary Disappearances, the International Federation for Human Rights, and AHRC, a human rights organization based in Bangladesh. Leading up to the meeting, many relatives of the disappeared victims received anonymous phone calls warning them not to participate. A number of families also claimed that members of the intelligence agencies and policemen dressed in civilian clothes began stalking them. In the end, 27 out of the 35 scheduled meetings had to be cancelled because of disruptive interventions from the police and intelligence agencies. At the very last minute, even the National Press Club in Dhaka cancelled the booking. A representative claimed that the press club needed the space to hold its own meeting on the same topic. This was a lie. As a result, no meeting was held on that day. In response to the cancelled Dhaka meeting, some victims' families and human rights defenders tried to hold protests in several districts demanding justice. All these protests were also obstructed. In the past 7 years, enforced disappearances have become a part of the public vocabulary in Bangladesh. From January 2009 to August 2015, at least 212 people have been disappeared in the country. Relatives and eyewitnesses have alleged that the police and paramilitary forces, especially the Rapid Action Battalion, are responsible for these disappearances. The justice institutions of Bangladesh again and again prove their inability to provide any kind of remedy to the families of the disappeared. The police constantly refuse the registration of cases involving members of law enforcement agencies. Regular intimidation and threats cripple the lives of victims' families. Wives are left in limbo, unable to move on with their lives as the death of their husbands cannot be proved. And children spend their young lives waiting for their fathers to return, uncertain whether the state has made them fatherless. Next, AHRC TV reports about a shocking case in Assam in northeast India, where 2 Indian Army soldiers have raped an 8 months pregnant woman. Army personnel in Kokrajhar district of Assam gang-raped the 20-year-old pregnant woman on August 8 during a raid carried out as part of a military operation known as Operation All Out against the National Democratic Front of Bodoland, a militant group. The incident took place when soldiers attached to the 10 Bihar Regiment arrived to apprehend the woman's husband, whom they suspected to be a member of the National Democratic Front of Bodoland. When the soldiers could not find her husband, they returned at night, dragged the woman out of the house to a nearby school, and raped her after threatening to kill her if she kept lying about her husband's whereabouts. Village people and local All Bodo student union members went to the Kachagaon police station to register a complaint. However, rather than filing the case, the officer in charge of Kachagaon police station informed the army major first about the complaint. Mr. Mehta, a major at the 10 Bihar Regiment, has denied the allegations of rape done by his men and has filed a counter First Information Report, or FIR, against the victim. The army personnel of 10 Bihar Regiment who have been patrolling different districts of Assam have been continually harassing the public, especially young girls and women, who are now scared to step out of their house after dark. For more on this case, AHRC TV speaks with Bondita Acharya.
At present, this forensic report has not yet been given back by the forensic lab. And this magistrate report has come, but they are not making it public. So we don't know exactly what is there in the magistrate report. And we have come to know that Major Mehta, who was in charge of that 10 Bihar Regiment unit, he has got transferred now. So that's according to the local people. So this is something very tasty, like why he has immediately transferred, because he just came 1 month back to this unit, and immediately he has been transferred. And apart from that, police has not done anything. They have not arrested. They have not started any investigation. Actually, they say they are waiting for the forensic lab report. We feel that they are delaying the entire process. In previous cases also, it was the trend, like they delay, and ultimately the woman has to wait for justice for long. Women and girls, especially live in this kind of area, they are very scared, and they live in a very hostile situation. This army camp is near to the market, just 600 meters away from the school. So they live in this hostile kind of situation. They feel scared, but they said they have to go out, otherwise they have to go to market to buy things and all. But at evening they cannot go out, and there is no electricity in that area. And that army raids and patrolling usually takes place at night. So they are really, really scared of even going out during that time.
The Roundup moves across the border to Pakistan, and the news there is that Pakistan has scored a double century. No, this is not a cricket match, but a reflection on the number of executions by the state in 2015. And there are still 4 months left of the year. If killing human beings were a race, Pakistan is winning hands down. In December 2014, Pakistan lifted the moratorium on executions in the wake of the Taliban attack on a Peshawar school that killed more than 150 children. The death penalty was initially reserved for terror convicts, but on March 10 of this year, it's been extended to all capital crimes, including kidnapping and murder. Lifting the moratorium on death sentences in a country whose criminal justice system is marred by miscarriage of justice and corruption is a travesty. The civilian as well as the military courts are sentencing people without following due process. Juveniles and the mentally ill are not being spared hangings in violation of international norms. An estimated 8,000 people, the largest in the world, remain on death row in Pakistan. And now to Indonesia. It's been 11 years since Indonesia's intelligence agency, BIN, assassinated Indonesian human rights defender Munir Said Thalib via arsenic poisoning when he was traveling on a Garuda flight from Jakarta to Amsterdam. The Asian Human Rights Commission has marked the anniversary by publishing an open letter addressed to Indonesian President Joko Widodo titled, "Where do you stand on Munir, Mr. President?" Excerpts from the letter reads, 7 September 2015 marks 11 years of this assassination, and it marks 11 long years during which Munir's family, Mrs. Suciwati, and their 2 children have remained in the dark and failed to obtain justice and closure. Mr. President, under your administration as well, there has been no progress in the Munir case. As a state party to the International Covenant on Civil and Political Rights, the Indonesian government must follow up on the Human Rights Commission's recommendation. Your government will have to confront what previous President Susilo Bambang Yudhoyono stated that the Munir case is a test of our history. The AHRC therefore calls for the government under your watch to continue the investigation processes. Munir's widow, human rights defender Suciwati, was in Jakarta this week to lead the annual commemorations of Munir's murder. China's repression of human rights lawyers and activists continue without relent. Hong Kong Free Press this week reported that 5 human rights lawyers from China were stopped from travelling to Hong Kong over the weekend from separate airports and border crossings in the country. The lawyers, who were attempting to travel from Beijing, Hubei province and Shenzhen, were told that Beijing's municipal public security had banned them from leaving the country because they threatened national security. Customs officials were unable to provide any documentations or details of the restrictions to their travel at any of the airports. Chen Jiangang and Li Guobei were stopped at Beijing Capital International Airport on Sunday, while on the same day, Huang Ximin was stopped at Wuhan Tianhe International Airport. Ge Zhongxi and Liu Shengqing were both stopped at the Hong Kong border crossing at Futian in Shenzhen. Early July saw the unprecedented surprise detention and interrogation of hundreds of human rights lawyers and activists across the country. As reported by AHRC TV last week, some are still being held in secret detention. Finally, AHRC TV caught up with Burmese lawyer Ten Tan Oo during his recent visit to our studio. Mr. Oo outlined what he thinks are the likely outcomes of the national elections in Burma in November. AHRC TV will report on the lead-up to the election in coming weeks. Here is Ten Tan Oo.
There were only 3 options. First, landslide victory of NLD. Second, landslide victory of USDP. Thirdly, the do not win landslide. The 3 conditions. These are the 3 conditions. Now, first, if NLD wins, but we are to win at least 55% of the seats. We have only to contest in 75% of the seats, so we are to get in ability 51%. Even Suji to be choice as the president, she can do nothing under this constitution, because president is lower than the Defense and Security Council, TSC. It is the most super powerful and supreme organ, composed of 11 members, 5 from the administration and 6 from the military. The president, 2 vice presidents and 2 speakers. Other 6 are military personnel. If she or the one democratic person has been elected as president, he is under the control of this Security and Defense Council. He can do nothing. So it is not danger if NLD win landslide victory. And secondly, USDP wins, the status quo. And if the 2 parties do not win, they will make a coalition with each other, or that this is few possibility, very few possibility. They combine with the other ethnic minorities parties to form coalition government. Only these options we are to be expected. There's no choice. But I want to mention one thing, that election is not the final destination. This is the first stage or first step. If we win, if NLD win and majority position, we are to push forward for furthermore dialogues, because constitutional issue is not the question of law. It is only the question of politics. We can solve this problem within the framework of the politics. So we are to discuss each other to form a national referendum or national conference, including all stakeholders or all inclusive conference. According to this conference, we are to adopt the future of the state. This is the only way. So landslide winning of NLD means not successful. This is the first step. We are so many steps to.
That is all for this weekly roundup. For more on these and other issues, please visit www.humanrights.asia. Thank you for watching, and see you again next week.